Hello and welcome to the Botanical Biohacking Podcast. Do you ever have whiskey-fueled conversations about the Tiger King, sexy cat ladies, and toxoplasmosis? Of course you do. Well, it's exactly what I spent my time doing with Brehan Crawford. Now, Brehan Crawford is a well-known acupuncturist in the United States. He's particularly known for treating Lyme, mold, and associated diseases, latent pathogens. His work with Lyme disease has been very fascinating to me over time. And we were just kind of kicking back and talking about these topics. And as we got talking, I realized, you know what, I got to be recording this. So we started recording, started off our conversation, and it was a blast. I hope you enjoy it. It is a little less formal than normal, probably inappropriate, and likely offensive in parts. Enjoy. Hey, beautiful people. We're going to talk today about toxoplasmosis.
It's like cat scratch fever, but it's a lot sexier.
So you've got the Tiger King. Did you guys watch the Tiger King? Of course you did, because it's COVID time and you don't have a life anymore. So the Tiger King, you've got people who are lining up to pet these tigers, right? They're paying hundreds of dollars. People are going multiple times a day. What is it about tigers that has this magic?
Is it more than just a giant fluffy kitty?
I would hope so. You know Wildlife Safari on the Oregon coast?
Yeah, down in by Roseburg.
Yeah, I went there when I was a little kid. And they just kind of dropped this. I thought it was a dead tiger. They just dropped it in my lap. And I, took a picture with this thing clearly drugged up out of its mind. I don't think you can do that anymore. It's probably dubiously legal. But that was the first time I realized that, you could do that with a cat or a large tiger.
Some kind of exotic animal.
Yeah, and people, though, they get addicted to these tigers. And it turns out that there may be an evolutionary reason behind this.
Does this have something to do with why people hoard cats in their own homes?
Also, yeah, it's part of the same thing that makes us a little bit crazy for cats. And if you look at the internet, the part that isn't incest porn, that narrow part of the internet that isn't incest porn.
I'm not familiar with that part of the internet.
That part is all cat videos.
Oh, that part of the internet.
Yeah, all the cat videos. Now, why? Yeah, cats, sure, they're anthropomorphic-ish. More importantly, toxoplasmosis.
Toxoplasmosis.
We go back to the Serengeti. Early hominids, right? You've got ape-like creatures and you have tiger-like creatures. Not modern tigers, mind you, more like saber-tooth. They developed this type of parasite called toxoplasmosis, which helps them to hunt primates, which, good sir and madam, means you. You are a primate.
I'm not a primate. I'm more evolved than a primate.
No, all homos. I mean that in the inclusive way.
The sapient homos.
Well, and erectus and other hominid types at this point, right?
Right.
And other, various great apes. They are all of us, I should say, are really susceptible to toxoplasmosis. So this is the way it works. A tiger sprays piss all over the place. And because a certain creature will have toxoplasmosis, it will encounter tiger piss and get high from it because it's actively triggering the opiate receptors in the brain. So,
whereas normally we would be afraid of the smell of tiger piss.
Yeah, you should be afraid of tiger piss.
Yeah.
That would be an evolutionary advantage to say, that's tiger piss, I'm out of here.
Out of the neighborhood.
Unless you've been eating little bits of cat shit, which you probably didn't mean to do, but, it gets in the air, it's in the dust.
It's in the litter box.
Toxoplasmosis enters, and now you hold a kitty, and all of a sudden you're smelling that kitty urine that's a little bit on that kitty still, and you're getting high as balls. People get high as hell. You see the woman with 30 cats in her house? It's triggering her dopamine. It's just like people who are doing drugs. She's getting that high off of it. And this is because way back in the day, ancient tigers were spreading this through their ancient shit to different ape-like creatures. The apes would get high as hell, and not just high, they would also lose physical coordination. They would lose mental acuity and get brain fog. So they're going to this tiger lair, right? And they're all of a sudden like, I love you, tigers, and I just feel so happy. And then the tigers eat them.
So instead of being like a buffalo that's fast, has tough skin, kind of hard to kill, it's more like a feedlot piece of human veal.
Absolutely. They were ordering takeout through the Toxoplasmosis. But here's the thing. We're off the Serengeti, but that's still happening. So one of my memories, it was just kind of disgusting, right? I had this babysitter. Really kind white trash woman, right? Yeah, it happens. So she's in this kind of religious cult where they have long hair and they don't cut it. Women don't cut their hair. You get the idea, right? So she is going to make a stop before she takes me home. And she stops at her hillbilly brother, Dick's house. Of course, the guy's name was Dick, right? So I walk into his house and it just hits me like the smell of cat dander. The whole place smelled like cat piss because of course it did. There's certain smells that I just associate with intergenerational poverty. Cat piss is one of them. And I don't think that's accidental. Anyway, from that day on, I started to have allergies with cat dander. It was just really filthy. However, I think some of these cat allergies are actually an intelligent adaptation when you have toxoplasmosis kicking around. And here's why it can be so dangerous. It's associated with suicide attempts in women. It's also associated with car crashes. If you have toxoplasmosis and you're a woman, you're more likely to get into a car collision.
Is that sort of like being the Gumby-limbed ape walking around in a field of leopards?
Exactly. It's like being under the influence, only you're not feeling tipsy. You're just suddenly feeling less coordinated. And it's also associated with non-fatal suicide attempts. So when people slit their wrists and just get really rash, that can be associated with toxoplasmosis. Now, here's the terrible thing.
That's classic parasite behavior too, right?
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
Weaken the host, but don't kill the host.
Exactly. Because you want others to come around and then you get to spread the disease.
Yeah.
It's, yeah. That's terrible. Now, when I look at research, because the first thing I wanted to find out with regard to toxoplasmosis, like, oh God, how many of us have this? No one has any idea. That's what I think, because I see some studies that are like 20% of the population, others that are like 80% of the population. Who knows? It depends how much cat shit you've inhaled in your life.
Kitty Roca is delicious.
Ay, chingada. But yeah, you go over to some dude named Dick's house, you manage to get out before you're in a statistic for another reason from this.
This is the guy whose legal name is Richard, but you call him Richard and he says, please call me Dick.
Yeah, he was that guy. Yeah, amazing. No.
How many exotic game pets does Dick have in his house at this point?
I mean, there were cages I wasn't allowed to go around, so I'm guessing 5. And backwoods Oregon, there are a lot of people. Backwoods Oregon is a little bit like backwoods Texas. You can see some guy who doesn't look like he has a lot of money, who has a lot of like elephants and tigers and whatever.
That's how these like big game places make their money.
Yeah, and well, some people who just sold drugs for a while.
Sure.
They have their hobbies, right?
You can't just stuff all that cash in your mattress. You got to put it into a giraffe.
Right, because they breed and that's just money waiting to be made.
So toxoplasmosis gets written up a fair bit in the newspapers these days. We don't see a lot of other press about different kinds of parasites.
Yeah, I think this one is a little bit sexy because there's a good chance that we all have it. Then it affects men and women a little bit differently. You were telling me that yesterday, right? Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
It turns men more into like bookwormish, introverted, stay at home, more likely to own a couple of cats.
So an incel.
An incel. Yeah.
So a lot of these incels who are like, yeah, women are roasties and they're terrible. They probably were just nice little kids who ate a little too much cat shit.
Yep. Had the litter box under their bed. just, changed it once a week, whether it needed or not.
Now, we love cats, but we don't love little kids eating cat shit. I
Yeah.
just want to put that out there.
And then for women, it tends to make them actually more outgoing and more sexually promiscuous.
Really?
That's what the New York Times says.
Wow, I hadn't read anything about promiscuous, because now my feelings on toxoplasmosis are more like it's a societal good.
I mean, toxoplasmosis is pretty promiscuous. Like, that's its whole life cycle, is to turn, a cat's intestines into a toxoplasma love canal.
Love canal.
I mean, it reproduces sexually.
Yeah, okay. All right. I can see that.
So,
Okay.
if you get infected by it, you're more likely to engage in behaviors which may or may not at one time have seemed dangerous to you.
God, I wish I knew that when I was 20. I would have been hitting up the cat ladies.
But more likely to harbor cats in your environment.
Wow. All right, so what's the downside to toxoplasmosis? Oh, right, the suicide attempts and the fatalities from car collisions.
Right. And I mean, there are serious cases involving people going brain dead. And, of course, there's the risk to pregnant women and their babies. And,
yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah. But otherwise, if you like big cats,
Okay.
yeah. I wonder how much of the press coverage on this is set up as like some kind of a conspiracy by the dog people. Because like you jump on any social media platform now and there's arguments between like, is Donald Trump the Antichrist or is Hillary Clinton a pedophile? Is the weather good or is the weather bad?
Yes, to both of those. All four of those, yes.
Do you prefer socks with sandals or wearing shorts in any weather? Like what makes you a good person? What makes you a terrible person? Dogs versus cats is an argument as old as time.
It's true.
I think the dog people have finally gotten their ducks in a row.
To be honest, I'm more of a dog person, but that's because I walked into that dude Dick's house and there were the dander everywhere, and I felt sick after that. But it could just be association because gross.
Yeah, that's an adverse childhood event right there.
I guess so. I should de-trigger that with some neural brain training stuff.
Or go pet some cute animals.
I tried that, but they won't let me on public transport anymore.
I mean, you walk in any alleyway, you're going to have at least one stray cat walk up to you.
Okay, yeah, there is that. So yeah, toxoplasmosis. Bad for pregnant women, bad for really women in general. I mean, if you're not wanting to be super promiscuous and making the world honestly a happier place to live. The danger, though, is that it does make us all a little bit ditzy, a little bit clumsy, and that is not really good for you. There's good news, however. There are treatments for it, and this can seriously affect people and cause downward spirals within their life, within their health, contributing to gut dysbiosis as somewhat of a keystone species. You get toxoplasmosis, and then the other gut microbes are not kept in check. So all kinds of chronic diseases can be on this foundation of problems you get from eating kitty litter. So, but the good news, the only reason I'm making light of this is because it's really easy to treat with Chinese medicine. Chinese medicine, you were telling me earlier, has a very high success rate, right?
Very, as high as pharmaceutical medicine.
With the plus side that it's also having additional benefits. So one of the herbs you mentioned was huangqin, right?
Huangqin, skullcap.
Yeah, skullcap. This herb, just off the top of my head, I know it interferes with viral transcription. So toxoplasmosis, not a virus, but if you happen to have a latent virus because of your, promiscuous days when you were making the world a happier place, thank you for your service. That's good. It can take out latent viruses that could be additionally compromising your health. So that's wonderful. Even with HIV, it helps to interfere with viral transcription. It's just very good at interfering with viral transcription.
Powerful herb.
In Xiao Chai Hu Tang, it's used for hepatitis C. I've used this personally to just help people drop their viral counts dramatically. And incidentally, it helps to kill Toxoplasmosis gondii. Another one, Huang Qi, right?
Astragalus.
Yeah, astragalus. So this one increases, so it's traditionally used to boost energy. It increases macrophages. It increases white blood cell count. So that's going to really bump up your immune system, which is good in the age of the Rona.
Yeah. Huang Qi isn't an herb that we think of oftentimes to use to kill things, but what it does do is increase the strength of your own immune system in identifying and destroying anything that shouldn't really be hanging around.
And when you see a parasite get taken out, there are two main things that need to happen. One is we'll often use herbs which paralyze the parasite, and then that prolongs the time that the white blood cells can attack it. But because it's paralyzed, right, then it can't really adapt to that change. So it's kind of like you're playing a role-playing game and you just like freeze, and then everybody starts attacking it. That's a big part of how Chinese herbs work when it comes to killing parasites. But you can also just increase the white blood cell count to just mob it like a horde of zombies, just like, nah, that's the toxoplasmosis, but it's just getting mulched, it's getting eaten up.
Plus, if they're paralyzed, if it's something that hangs out in your digestive tract like this, it gives your digestive system a longer time to where peristalsis can act and actually squeeze it out of the picture.
Exactly. Because these little creatures, like we think of tapeworms, right? They've got the hooks in. Other parasites have hooks too. And they work through a variety of mechanisms. But if you take away their ability to adapt to change, you increase the peristalsis in the intestines, and you get the white blood cells to beat the hell out of them, they go away.
Assuming you're still taking a nice poop every day.
Yeah, assuming that. So, where do you get these herbs? What do you do to get rid of toxoplasmosis? Well, taking just the herbs we mentioned may work for you, but likely it won't. And even if it does, it could set the stage for dysbiosis, which could allow other parasites to take over. So, what do you do? The most efficient thing to do in the age of the Rona is to contact a Chinese medicine doctor and say, hey, can we do this through telehealth? Can we do some telemedicine? Can I send you my labs? Can we do this over the interwebs? The answer to that is sometimes. The Brehan, can you please tell me about how you work with people doing just that?
Yeah, they call me and then we talk about it and we look at their tongue. We take beautiful, delicious pictures of the top and bottom of their tongue.
I feel uncomfortable with that word delicious, but go on.
We look at their labs. We take a very complex history. We might ask for photos of other areas of the skin and, a lot of really, let's say, personal details about your health and your health history. And then we create an herbal prescription from that.
And I got to tell you a little secret about the herbal prescriptions he uses. They not only take out parasites, they help remove fat through lipolysis. They make you thinner, which is good because...
Unless you're starving to death.
Then they help you to put on weight. It's very regulatory that way. But if you got some extra padding, especially with the COVID, you're at home, you're not allowed to go anywhere, and you don't really want to anymore.
Breakfast has become a bag of potato chips.
Yeah.
Lunch is a half a bottle of whiskey.
Would you not talk about my life personally at this? Okay, look.
We lead by example.
Yeah, we do. And that's the thing. Herbs cover a multitude of dietary sins. And you've been sinning. I know it. The devil done told me you've been sinning. But it's okay, because you're going to use some herbs and balance everything out. And it's actually a very good time to be looking pretty seriously into optimizing your immune system, losing weight, and getting rid of latent parasites because, well, global pandemic. And my friends, if you think that once the Rona is done, it's done, got some news for you. For every foot of Himalayan glacier water that we lose due to warming, obviously not man-contributed global warming, the global warming that Jesus wants... Sorry. So for every foot that we lose, we get 100 viruses floating downstream. They're going to India and they're going to major cities in China, which means you, my friend, are getting them.
If it comes through China, it's coming to the U.S.
If it comes through India, it's coming to the U.S. Look, everything's connected these days. And after the Rona's done, the fact is our world is changing. All of these very tropical diseases are melting. They're coming downstream. So if you got any critters already trying to break you down, it's time to get rid of them now. If you're overweight and you need to get rid of some of that extra weight, it's time to get rid of it now because the Rona is gonna get you.
Or, if you've been in lockdown, you went from, say, one cat, you got kind of bored, found some stray kittens, adopted them. It's so nice to have so many cute things in your house when you can't leave your house.
Or you Texans, I know you watched The Tiger King and got inspired. Bought a bunch of leopards.
All of a sudden, there's a lot more of these little protozoans hanging out in your atmosphere.
Yeah. Many people don't know this about Brehan, but he is 100 pounds lighter than he used to be. So if you want to talk about weight loss...
150.
150. All right, look. You got those Instagram dudes who, they're dumb as a rock, but all they've been in is a gym in their life. Don't listen to those savages. Here's why. Brehan lost 150 pounds. And he didn't do it through like diet pills or anything. He did it by moving around and using principles of Chinese medicine. So,
one fun detail that comes to mind about Hong Qin is that it is, whereas a lot of medications that you might use, especially in the case of a protozoan infection, are not safe during pregnancy. And as we're talking about this,
Hong Qin, yeah.
This is a issue that is, toxoplasmosis. A lot, like you said, like 80% of the world might have it or might have had it at one point in their lives. It's not life-threatening to most people, but it can be very dangerous during early pregnancy.
It's gonna kill your babies.
And we're even cautious with herbs during pregnancy.
Definitely. Because herbs can, increase uterine contractions based on the type of herbs. However, there are herbs which also protect the fetus to prevent miscarriage.
And
one of them is Huangqin. And it's not only in this category because of toxoplasmosis. It's in this category for easily 50 different reasons. Is it good to be chowing on if you're pregnant? I'm not saying that. That's something you need a consultation for. We've got to look at the big picture. Something that's good, used for the wrong person, makes it bad. So we want to use context.
Context is key.
Context is key. Being appropriate is key. Thank you so much for listening to the Botanical Biohacking Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Andrew Miles. If you would like to contact the Brehan Crawford, you can do that at crawford-wellness.com or contact me at andrew@botanicalbiohacking.com, and I can help you to get in touch with either Brehan or another acupuncturist who's an herbalist who can help you via telemedicine.